So I decided I wanted to make some moccasins. So I got online. Figured out that I needed to make a foot pattern. Drew out my foot. Added some measurements. Then came over here, made a template, the measurements. Put my right foot down. And then I traced it all around. Then I added a 1/4 inch all the way around. Had a center fold or crease. And then I folded it in half. Of course, after the 1/4 inch, I cut it out and figured out what I wanted to do for the flaps. These could be straight. They could be, all this could be longer, so that it would go up your leg, because essentially this is going up your leg, this half right here. So what it looks like when it's being sewn, you sew it from the inside out. So this would be the inside of the material, this would be the outside of the material. This one I haven't finished yet, I've just got started. Cut a little right down the middle, you cut a little bit at the end, and then you sew it in so that you have more room, more heel room. But right now this is the one I've just sewn. I've just flipped it inside out, or outside in, or right side out rather. And I just did a whip stitch. Whip stitch is basically the stitch that goes around and around and around and around like so. So that would be the whip stitch. But basically, I wanted to make a pair of moccasins. We'll see how they turn out here in a little bit. I had to buy a couple of needles. The one needle here I just broke. I broke the eye off of it pushing it on the board instead of using my awl like I should have. I got these on eBay from England. I don't know if you can see it, but it says England on there. So now I'm going to have to get another one. I was pretty bummed out that I broke that. But I'll turn it into an awl. I should have been using this. This is my awl. This is made out of yew wood. Okay. And then this is a nail here that I sharpened. Then I drilled a hole, glued it in with epoxy, the 2-part epoxy. And this is basically my sewing kit. I've been using the artificial sinew. You can cut it, you can strip it down into 4 sections. You take a long section like this, say 9 feet or so. That's what I've been using. And then you can take each individual, this right here, and strip it down into 4, right? And you'll get a thinner thread instead of a thick thread. You want a thinner thread. The thick thread is for heavy, 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 heavy duty stuff. You don't need it that thick, as opposed to something like that. See the difference? Thin thread, thick thread, yeah. Then I got my big piece of, this is actually bison hide, buffalo. Got that off of eBay also. This over here is a piece of yew wood. It's actually really nice stuff. This piece here is probably about 40 years old. It's a slow growing wood, and it has a it's a higher density. It's kind of like a pine, but it has a higher density. Some stuff that I've been working on. You guys seen probably most of all this. But this is what the yew wood looks like if it's on the tree. So basically, it has that fur-like needles. It has those straight needles like a fir tree does. So you strip it all off with a knife, and then you cut it to length, and then you carve it out, sand it, shape it, and you drill the end, you put a needle in it, or a nail like my other one. If you want to get real fancy and creative, you put a little piece of abalone shell in the back. And that's the awl. So the next thing I do is I take the awl, make a hole, and I put the needle through. Although I need to put it further, let's see, a little bit closer to the edge.
With using a leather punch or cheating?
I could probably use a leather punch, but I prefer to do this.
Yeah.
See the needle come through. Now I'm doing this one-handed, so it's kind of difficult. And that's essentially it. And this is the heel I just sewed up. So this is what it looks like inside out. Here I've sewn up one edge. Just sewed up the heel. Here's the toe. Now that it's turned right side out, you have this tab that's left, and you can cut that tab, or you can off completely. You can make a zigzag out of it, you can make it into a point. Not sure what I want to make out of it, but in the meantime, that's what it looks like. Put this here. See if I can put this on. Basically, that's what it looks like. Probably roll those down, I don't think so. But take the one flap, tuck it inside, take the other flap, tuck it over. Plus these are brand new, so they aren't all form, fit, and everything. But it's a center seam. So I've sewn from here all the way around underneath to here. What it looks like. It's dark forest green. not black. But yeah, it'll fit eventually. It'll, you know, form out, and probably a lot of this, there's a little bulge right there, a lot of that stuff will go away because this will stretch a little bit. And that's that. So it's my little mess I've created. Inside here I have a X-Acto knife set. Which works out really well. All the blades I'll ever need. I've been using this one lately. This one works out pretty well. Now before I got started on any of this, I got this craft manual of the Northern American Indian footwear, and it has all kinds of goodies in here. And it has a whole bunch of information. I had to write in some information next to it, like that there, all these extra informations. It doesn't say it in the book, so I went through the book and kind of customized it so I could read, instead of looking at the picture, I could read also what tribe or native group made this. This one over here is made by Flathead, this one's Paiute, and so forth. The design that I made or copied is this design over here, the Oneida. So page 30, so open it up to page 30. And I made some additional notes that I still have to adjust. So I made them in pencil so that I can erase or adjust or whatever. So basically this is what I copied. And all of these marks I've readjusted. And this mark I've actually made it a 1/4 inch all the way around instead of the 1/2 inch or the 3/4 inch. I did the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 inch, and I made this. I took this out of the closet. It was a towel, and the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 inch, it made this huge moccasin, probably a size 12. I'm a 10.5. My foot floats around in this thing. So this was my very first one I tried. I'm not going to use the leather or whatnot first because I don't want to mess it up. So that was my first one. This was my second one. All of them the same style. You can tell with the whip stitch has this end here that you could either, as I explained before, you could zigzag it, cut it off, whatever you want to do, sew it up. So I made that one. And I made this one here, all in the same style. These fold down or they fold over, okay. And then I made this one without the little tab that comes out like this, just a different style. Same center seam format. And then I finished them. Of course, this is my very first pair, so they aren't the greatest. And you can see the seams. I really didn't want the seams to show. But very first pair, so that's okay. Can't really see it, it's pretty dark. This little flap flaps over like this. I have the other flap tucked inside. Here's a flap, tuck it inside, flap it over basically. And they seem to be working pretty well. Likes to collect a little bit of dust and junk on the bottom. But definitely do some preliminaries first before you get into actually making one. And this here is a little bag that I made. Put a little welt down the middle, all a whip stitch. Of course I sewed it inside out and then turned it around right side to the correct side out. And then this little tag, you can hang something off of it, a bead or feathers or whatever you want to do with it. But this thing isn't finished. This bag over here is finished. I have a little bead, steatite bead that I made. This is a little piece of bone, deer bone, that holds the flap. Pull that out. Has a single hole drilled in it, and then I went in, turned it around a few times, tied it on the inside, and this of course is the bag. And that's the hole. Glad you guys enjoyed, and well, I'll do another one, something else that I've created here in the future.